Sakti returned home to her apartment. It was a few-hour drive from the city of Jealousy, where she lived, to the middle of the desert where the New Republic Southern Military Hospital was. Jealousy was the major population center on this planet, Frontier, but that wasn't saying much. Planet Frontier was founded by a coalition of humans and Rakar during the First War some few thousand years ago. Its location in deep space, far away from the conflicts of other species, allowed it to enjoy relative peace. The planet itself was mostly barren, but had a variety of unexplored wilderness inhabited by monsters. Frontier was really nothing special. In recent years, people seem to have figured that out and had been leaving in droves. If Sakti had had her way, she would have already been gone as well. There was only one reason preventing her from doing so. Sakti entered her apartment. Clean and dirty clothes intermingled together in a very familiar mess. The same mess had been festering for who knows how long, but none of it belonged to Sakti. Sakti had long abandoned control and upkeep of the living room, or lack thereof, to her roommate. Sakti, I'm home. Sakti's roommate, Sarah, sat on the couch and played a video game on a box television which sat on the ground. Sarah, welcome back. How'd the visit to the hospital go? Sarah couldn't even be bothered to pause or even avert her attention from her game alongside her greeting. Sakti hurried off to her room and shut the door behind her. Sarah looked over her shoulder, her attention only free because she lost in her game. Sarah, that bad, huh? Sarah opened Sakti's door a little and peeked inside. Sarah, hello? Can I come in? Sakti laid face down on her bed, her head buried in her pillow. She did not answer. Sarah entered inside anyway and sat at the foot of Sakti's bed. Sarah, so how is he? Is he gonna be okay? Sakti, I don't know. The doctor said his body is deteriorating, but he isn't in imminent danger. He said there isn't much they can do if they don't even know what caused the wounds, but the Ministry of Defense won't let them see the attacker's weapon. Sarah, is that all that's bothering you? So, did you ask the Ministry of Defense about the weapon? Sakti, it took me months just to get permission to visit the military hospital. The doctor who works for the Ministry of Health and Welfare hasn't even been able to get them to cooperate. They aren't going to fill me in on an ongoing investigation, let alone allow me to see the attacker's weapon. Sarah, not with an attitude like that. Let's go down to the Ministry of Defense's office together. If there really is a weapon that can harm so-called immortal beings, then you need to find out more about it. Sakti, I don't know. Sarah leaned forward with an intent look and stared at Sakti, but Sakti didn't meet her gaze. Sarah, look, I know how bad you want to help Isker. You'd do anything for him. Heck, you badgered the Ministry of Health and Welfare's people for months until they finally let you visit. Sakti, this is different. Sarah turned Sakti's head toward her and stared into her eyes. Sarah, let's go to the Ministry of Defense's office and see if we can find some clues. I'll go with you, okay? Sakti was surprised and stunned by Sarah's rather uncharacteristic forwardness, but capitulated. Sakti, okay, let's go. The two left their apartment and headed down the steps of their building. Sakti, when's the last time you went outside anyway? Sarah, don't know. I go outside and grab the mail and take out the garbage. Sakti, that doesn't count. You know, I'd really rather you get an actual job instead of staying home all day playing games and gambling over the net. Sarah, psh, an actual job? That's dumb. I already make enough for my share of the rent through gambling. Besides... Sarah was interrupted by a sudden loud bark. Sarah almost lost her footing as she bolted back up the stairs. Sarah, eek! At the bottom of the stairwell, a canine sat and waited for them. Sakti, hello, Sonny. I haven't seen you in a while. Where have you been? Sakti was glad to see Sonny, and Sonny, the canine, seemed ecstatic to see her as well. Sakti held Sunny back as Sarah leapt away. Sakti, Sunny, knock it off. Sarah, you know I'm scared of monsters. Can you make him go away? Sakti, he's not a monster, he's a normal dog. Sarah, that is not a normal dog. He's half as big as you are. Look at those huge teeth and those beady little eyes. He's clearly a monster. Sakti, it's not like he's ever done anything to you. He just barks a lot. At you. Otherwise, he's a good dog. He just gets excited easily. Sakti got in the driver's seat of her truck, Sarah into the passenger seat, and Sunny jumped into the bed of the truck. Sarah, I have a feeling it's only a matter of time. He's a mangy mutt born in the gutter somewhere. His thirst for blood can't be sated by kibble. You feed him once, and he keep coming back for bigger and better meals. Next thing you know, he's gnawing on your arm like it's a drumstick. The worst part is that he comes and goes whenever he pleases. Who knows what he does when he's out and about? Sakti, you're just being dramatic. He isn't that bad. Sakti drove from the sparsely populated city limits, where their apartment was, into the city proper. They navigated the bustling roads of Jealousy's downtown and eventually arrived at the Ministry of Defense's office. The two got out of Sakti's truck and marveled at the massive structure. It wasn't as big or modern as the military hospital. It was much more rustic, but nevertheless still impressive. It was one of the largest buildings in the city of Jealousy for certain, and part of a generally impressive skyline. Sarah, so this is the Ministry of Defense's office, huh? It's a lot bigger than I thought it would be. Sakti, well, it's their only major office on this side of the planet. You wait here, Sunny. Sunny settled himself in the bed of Sakti's truck. Sakti and Sarah entered the building. Upon entering, they were surprised to find the lobby empty, aside from some cheap decor. There wasn't even a secretary at the main desk. Before they could begin wandering around to look for assistance, a peacekeeper-type Dulce approached the two. The Dulce were mobile machines driven by artificial intelligence. They were a modern innovation, only having becoming widespread within the last 100 years or so, at least on the planet frontier. It was said they were created by humans to assist humanity in various capacities, but it was common knowledge that they were mainly used for war and propagating violence by those who could afford them. Peacekeeping Dulce.
Welcome, civilians. How can this unit help you today?
Sarah. Yikes, a Dulce. It looks like one of the enforcer types. We won't get anywhere targeting this hunk of metal. We might as well go find a kiosk or something. Sakti. We might as well try it. Nobody else seems to be around anyway. I'm looking for information about an ongoing investigation. Peacekeeping Dulce.
Wonderful. Please describe the nature of this investigation.
Sakti. My friend. He's in Arenka. He was attacked coming home from work one night. The assailant is still at large, but I was told they left their weapon behind. I was wondering if we could get some information about the weapon. Peacekeeping Dulce.
Thank you. Please wait. Loading. 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 Loading complete. This investigation has been designated as classified. The status of your inquiry. Denied. Thank you for your patience. Do you have any other queries to make?
Sarah. Hey, you can't just throw out our question like that. At least tell us why. The Dulce's disposition took an immediate turn. It stepped back and pulled out a submachine gun from a compartment on its side. Peacekeeping Dulce.
Civilian detected attempting to engage a Dulce peacekeeper. Step back, civilians, or be forcibly suppressed.
Sakti. Wait, we aren't trying to engage you. Look, we're backing away, alright? Peacekeeping Dulce.
Increase in resistance detected. Loading riot suppression sequence.
A voice from off to the side spoke out, interrupting the Peacekeeper Dulce. Unknown person. Hey, what are you people doing? Peacekeeping Dulce.
Sequence paused.
A human officer stood off to the side and glared at the two. Before Sakti could say anything, Sarah jumped forward. Sarah. We were just looking for some information and your crazy machine started waving its gun around. The human officer let out a heavy sigh and waved his hand. Peacekeeping officer. Stand down. Why don't you go file some paperwork or something? Peacekeeping Dulce.
Affirmative.
The Dulce put its gun away, saluted, and departed. Peacekeeping officer. Sorry, those things are good for fighting monsters and keeping the peace, but they are terrible secretaries. Now what can I do for you? Sakti, we're looking for some information about an ongoing investigation. My friend was attacked about a year ago. He's in Arenka being treated at the military hospital. Peacekeeping officer. Ah, so you're the one who's been badgering the Ministry of Health and Welfare for months. You're the so-called Immortal One's friend, huh? I'll hear you out, but I can't promise anything. Why don't we go to my office? The officer led the two of them to a nearby office. Some rather obviously placed military recruitment propaganda decorated the room. The officer sat across from them at his desk. Peacekeeping officer, can I get you anything to drink? Sakti, no thanks. We don't want to take up too much of your time. Peacekeeping officer, fair enough. Now just what sort of information are you looking for? Understand that this is a very sensitive matter. Your concern for your friend is admirable, but ultimately, we need to look out for the public well-being first and foremost. We certainly don't want to create a panic. Sakti, a panic? What do you mean? What does Iskir's situation have to do with the general public? Peacekeeping officer, we believe there is reason to take certain precautions. That is why we intend to keep the details of the investigation a secret for the time being. You are aware of your friend's position, aren't you? He's an important figurehead for the people of Frontier. If news got out that something happened to him, an immortal being, there's no telling what the consequences of that could be. Sakti, I really don't care about the investigation, or the attacker. I don't want to cause trouble either. I just want to help my friend. The doctors at the hospital said that if they could see the weapon used in the attack, it might help them figure out some sort of treatment. Peacekeeping officer, no, that is out of the question. All I can tell you is that the weapon is a hatchet of sorts. Sakti, a hatchet? Sarah, hold on, a hatchet? A mere hatchet wouldn't cause grievous wounds to an immortal being. There must be something strange about this hatchet of sorts. Peacekeeping officer, that's classified, I'm afraid. I'm sorry, that's all I can say. Sakti, Sarah seems agitated. It looks like she's about to explode. Without warning, Sarah slammed her fist onto the table, which drew the immediate attention of both the officer and Sakti. Sarah fixed her gaze straight into the officer's eyes. Sarah, officer, what's so special about this hatchet? I think we deserve to know. Sakti, Sarah! Peacekeeping officer, no. Yes, I suppose you are right. You do deserve to know. Sarah's outburst seemed to have caused the officer to comply, much to Sakti's shock. He looked worn out, as if months of problems had finally caught up to him. His face sank into his hand as he spoke. Peacekeeping officer, the hatchet is a relic of the ancient world, or so the university researchers say. They say it could be a fragment of a weapon made to cut down the tree of life. Something to do with severing the connection of the energy of life to mortals. I don't really get it, but it is extremely dangerous. 3 people, including your friend, have been in contact with the hatchet's blade. The other 2 died shortly thereafter. The researchers theorize the only reason your friend is still alive is because he's one of the Arenka, beings said to be immortal. It seems the only thing the hatchet doesn't destroy is the sheath that was found with it. That's about all we know. Sakti and Sarah left the office and made their way toward the exit of the building. Sakti felt somewhat encouraged by their discovery, and Sarah seemed to have returned to her usual disinterested self. Sakti, I thought that officer was going to stonewall us, but in the end he actually helped us out a lot. Sarah, huh? Oh, yeah, I suppose. Just gotta put some spirit into it. Sarah suddenly stopped and turned around. Sarah, I just remembered. I have my own thing I need to ask about. You can go home without me. Sakti. Huh? We're on the other side of the city. How are you gonna get back? I'll wait for you. It's not a big deal. Sarah. Nah, that's okay. It'll probably take a while, so you can go ahead and head on back. I don't want you to take up the rest of your day off on account of me. I'll just hitch a ride back, so don't worry about it. I'll see you later, okay? Sakti. Okay? See you later, I guess. Sakti couldn't help but be a little concerned, but didn't push the issue. Sarah had already made her way off, so there was no reason to argue about it. Sakti drove home and spent the rest of her day off not doing much of anything. Sarah did not return, even as night fell. Late into the dead of night, while Sakti was asleep, there was a knock at the door to her room which startled her awake. She was in a daze, but still figured it must have been Sarah. Sakti. Sarah, is that you? Sarah peeked her head into Sakti's room with a devilish smile. Sarah. Oh, good, you're awake. I'm coming in. Sarah flipped on the light and jumped onto Sakti's bed, holding something behind her. Sakti. Where have you been? Don't you know what time it is? Sarah. Nope, it's not important though. Sakti. What do you need? I have work tomorrow. Sarah. I got something for you. Here, open it. Carefully. Sarah held out an oddly shaped package she had been hiding behind her back. Sakti looked over the strange package with bewilderment. Sakti took the package, tore it open, and pulled back in shock. Sakti, this is... In Sakti's hands, she now held a peculiar-looking hatchet. Sarah, that's right. The attacker's weapon. Sakti stared at the weapon. She didn't know what to say. The first thing that came to her mind was to wonder how Sarah got her hands on it. Perhaps it was better not to know, though. Sakti, how did she get this? Maybe it's better not to ask. You didn't do anything bad to get it, did you? Sarah, what? No! While I was taking care of my own thing, I came across the officer from earlier. We had a chat, and he agreed to lend it to us. On the down low, of course. What? What's with that look? I'm telling the truth. You should be happy. Now you can take it to the military hospital. Sakti, that's not a very convincing story. But without knowing more about this weapon, and what's so special about it, I have no chance of helping Iskir. It's not like I can tell her to return it, so I'll just hold on to it for now.